Welcome back. Well, here we have another notebook. This one is about Gahreesen, this age. It says here it was written by Simpson. We've already seen that name before in Douglas Sharper's notebook. Well, let's read it. Analysis. Author Simpson, transcribed from voice recorder. Age Gahreesen. Date November 12, 2001 to 6/4/2002. Multiple trips. Okay, one thing seems immediately obvious. This place was built for security. No one could write a link anywhere in this place, or the next. It was obviously a maintainer facility of some kind, and it doesn't seem that it was for general guild members. By that I mean it was limited to at least higher ranking members. As to how they got the first link written here, I don't know. Probably while it was under construction. It does seem pretty obvious that it's not going to happen again, unless something major happens to this place. I should say that Kodama has some theories about the age that have held up so far. May have been a special forces of a sort for the maintainers. Started later, mid-8000s. Became somewhat of a research and development arm for the Maintainers Guild. I don't know, worth mentioning though. There are quite a few mentions of such groups in other docs Kodama has found, or at least seen. Entrance. To begin with, I'd wager that no one other than a high-ranking government official or similar ever even made it to this room. That's just my guess, but it seems pretty sound. I don't think any school buddies or girlfriends dropped by to see their maintainer friend. The linking book we found was deep within the Maintainer Guild. I'm sure it was well guarded in its day. You can see right off the bat that the entrance was extremely secure. Thick walls, one door, a high window. Sniper maybe? If you manage to get in with a bomb or something, it's not going to do any noticeable damage. I love the maintainer symbol on the floor and everywhere else you look, as though I might forget and wonder where I am. Waiting room. So, visitors are escorted into this little waiting room. There's a window on one side, looks almost like a ticket window. Maybe turn in weapons or goods that aren't allowed. Maybe books. I'm sure they didn't want books in here. Yeah, looks like mainly for books. There's another ticket window on the other side, although this one looks a bit different. I'm pretty sure there are beetle cages on the other side. Beetles that sought out ink. Somebody was just telling me there are all kinds of references to them in other docs. You didn't make it past this room with a book. As well, the doors never open at the same time. So even if you somehow make it out the entrance room, you're still not going to make it past these mammoth doors out of the waiting area. Halls. Looks like the hall ran along the entire circumference of the building. There are plenty of rooms. I'll just try to hit them one at a time. First is an elevator though. However, looks like it's only down. Wonder if it was always that way. More security, I guess. Once you've made it into the halls, there's still nowhere to go, at least if they didn't want you going anywhere. Lockers. I would think that any books that were brought to the age were kept in the lockers. I'd imagine that some of the workers here or frequent visitors also kept some equipment, but I could be wrong on that. Looks like they kept some maintainer gear as well. Markers, helmets, etc. Seems a little out of place, honestly. Keys. Okay, things are becoming a little more clear now. Just had a long chat with Laxman and researched some different docks over in the city that Nick had. Looks like the current condition I'm seeing was not the original condition. The key was a major development, not just for the guild, but apparently for all citizens. Turns out they were just starting to hand out the keys to the public around the time of the fall. Nice timing. So it looks like they had some renovations in order to facilitate the mass amount of visitors that would be coming in order to retrieve keys. Turns out my little girlfriend analogy was pretty much completely wrong. Girlfriends and more were going to start coming here, at least to the open sections. Kodama corrected me. We've actually found multiple books in neighborhoods, as well as the guarded maintainer book I had mentioned earlier. Whoops. So, visitors come in, walk through the doors, beetles check for books, and they walk down the hall into the key room. Get a key and link out. Guards were probably at the up elevator, which is just behind this room. If they did happen to bring any illegal items, they get them back from the other side of the locker room, and off they go back home with their new shiny key. Makes more sense as to why the maintainer paraphernalia was in the locker rooms too. Probably a little display type thing for all the visitors. Impress them. Warehouse. Quite a bit of goodies in here, all of which I'm sure most visitors never saw. Pretty bad cave-in from the floor above, although Engberg says structurally the place seems alright. He's doing more detailed inspection soon. Looks like most of these crates are filled with key maintainer type equipment, as well as a variety of spare parts, etc. I don't know. Laxman will have to give this place a good inspection. I'm sure he'll love going through it all. Beyond me, I know that. Beetle cages. Convenient cave-in. Not sure how one is supposed to get into beetle cages without it. No idea how they did it. Link, maybe. Regardless, pretty positive the cages were built for beetles. Symbols on the front and quite a bit of remnants in some of the dirtier cages. I'll have to clean those up. Wonder when they all died. Speaking of access, another question. How'd they get to the second floor? Elevator skipped the middle floor. More security, I suppose. Second floor. Destruction was a little more substantial than I thought. Looks like it tore out a section of the outer wall even. I'm going to get out of here until Engberg can come back again. Been a few days, but I'm back. I'm no expert, so I guess I have to trust Engberg. But he says this whole thing is made of one of the most solid, heavy pieces of construction he's ever seen. It's safe, he assures me. If I die here and someone retrieves this recording, please sue him for me. Second floor looks similar to the first. Outer hall and a number of rooms. Have to remember that very few people probably ever walk these halls. There is no access via elevators, stairs, anything to get there. I assume it had to be done via linking book, which is probably somewhere in the city. I suppose there could be a way to stop those elevators on the middle floor, but I doubt it. Regardless, this floor was extremely secure. Book access only, I'm guessing. Guard lounge. Next to the observation room, at least that's what I assume it was, is what looks like a guard lounge. Looks like they stayed here for long amounts of time. There are beds in here as well as couches. I assume these guys manned the window observation post while the visitors were coming in. Guard lockers. More lockers, similar to the set downstairs, although these are manned with some heavy equipment. I'm sure Watson will want to see this stuff and keep it locked up well. In fact, I'm not even going to go into detail about it here. Laxman can write about all this stuff in a later report. I will say I didn't know that Dunny had these kinds of technology. Gear room. Now I see why this floor was so secure. Looks like the whole power structure for this building is here. Amazing construction. The entire building looks like to have been powered by some underground water source that caused it to turn. They implemented a gear that would grab onto teeth in the ground outside and provide them a power source as well. Talk about killing two giant birds with one stone. Pretty amazing. Power looks somewhat complicated. Seems as though there were at least occasions that power was turned off, as there are obviously controls to do that, and then started again. I'm heading to the top. Top. Wow, I thought this building was big. The main portion is absolutely giant, and rotating too, of course. I'm overcome with the amount of work put into this place just for security. It's everywhere. Almost comical picturing government officials walking the same paths I am. Amazing. To get to the other side, looks like one had to walk across the bridge to the rock pinnacle, the first place since we have arrived at where we were able to save a link. And it's not that big. And there's a massive structure facing you if you did. Pretty funny to try and picture an army invading, all of them bunched up on this stone waiting for these bridges to rotate. What the... my gosh. The creatures. These things are something out of a horror movie. I've been up here a little while and I don't see them often, but when I do, they're scaring me to death. I'm beginning to understand the fences and structures a little better. Perhaps some of them were designed to keep creatures out more than keep visitors in. Don't hang out in those woods, unless you have a big gun. Another bridge, to reach the main portion of this place. More security. I will say that the platform between the bridges seems to have eroded. At one time, crossing the bridges was probably a security feature to ensure manageable groups would approach the larger building, one at a time, but I would wager it was still a lot easier than it is now. The erosion to the platform between the bridges has made it a little rougher. I suppose the maintainers would like it even more in its current condition. Mud rooms. I'm not sure what to call these things, but they remind me of mud rooms, so I'll call them that. Not much here. Looks like each bridge has a mud room attached to it, with another group of doors, etc. There doesn't seem to be any kind of decompression or decontamination that went on here. Really, they seem to be nothing more than another spot for another set of doors. Another secure location. Training center. I was going to go through each of the rooms here, but after making a quick overview, I think I'll just start with the entire building. There are 3 types of rooms in the building, 2 of each kind. There's a control room, 1 purple and 1 yellow, a display room, 1 purple and 1 yellow, and then a conference room. Though these aren't colored, I assume there's one for each team. The entire building seems to be centered on the massive wall in the middle. The control rooms control the wall, The display rooms display the uniforms that were worn in the wall, I presume, and the conference rooms allow the government visitors and high-ranking officials to confer about those training on the wall. See? So, control rooms first. I will continue reading this journal or notebook in the next video.